So, if you're in the world of dry ice blasting, you know that your air compressor is one of the biggest choices you're going to make. I mean, get it right, and you're looking at peak efficiency, maximum power. But get it wrong? Well, that can lead to a whole lot of trouble, from damaged equipment to really expensive downtime. So, let's dive in and figure out how to make the right call. And this, right here, really hits the nail on the head. We're not just talking about a job taking a little bit longer. No, this is a choice that hits your bottom line hard. A bad compressor doesn't just work poorly, it can actively wreck your very expensive blasting equipment and literally bring your whole operation to a standstill. The stakes? Yeah, they're incredibly high. All right, first things first. Let's talk about compressed air. Before we even get into the specs and the numbers, we really need to understand why it's the absolute foundation of this entire process. The physics behind it are actually pretty simple. The compressed air, that's the engine. It's the raw force that takes these little CO2 pellets and turns them into a ridiculously powerful cleaning tool. And that's exactly why every single thing about that air, its volume, its pressure, and its quality, is just so critical for performance. Okay, now for the part you've been waiting for, the two most critical numbers. When you're looking at compressors, there are two specs you absolutely positively have to know: PSI and CFM. These two things together define how well your blaster is going to perform. Probably the easiest way to think about this is to picture a pressure washer. PSI, that's pounds per square inch, is the force of that water jet. It's how hard it hits the surface. Then you have CFM, cubic feet per minute, which is the volume of water. That's how big the stream is. You see, for really effective cleaning, you need both the power and the size. So, when you see a number like 125 PSI, that's really the sweet spot we're talking about for serious work. I mean, sure, you can technically start blasting at around 80 PSI, but hitting 125, that's where you get that serious power you need to just obliterate tough stuff like corrosion, caked-on grease, or heavy carbon buildup. And now, let's talk volume. Here's the thing you have to remember. Dry ice blasters are incredibly air-hungry machines. They just devour a huge amount of air, nonstop. If your compressor's CFM can't keep up, your performance is going to nosedive, and you'll just be standing around waiting for the pressure to build back up. For any kind of serious industrial job, 300 CFM or more is an absolute must. Okay, so you've got your numbers in mind. Now let's figure out what kind of compressor is right for you. And honestly, this choice really boils down to your work environment. Are you set up in a fixed workshop, or are you always on the move out in the field? If you have a dedicated shop, a fixed setup, then the rotary screw compressor is the gold standard. It is a true workhorse. It's built to run all day, every day, delivering a super consistent, reliable flow of air with no dips or surges, which is exactly what you want for those long blasting jobs. But what happens when you're not in a nice, comfy workshop? Well, for all the contractors out there, the diesel-powered compressor is your best friend. These things are built for two things: portability and raw power. They'll give you all the PSI and CFM you need in places like shipyards, oil rigs, or construction sites where you just can't plug into a wall. And finally, we've got the indoor specialist, the electric compressor. These are perfect for any environment where noise is a real issue, like food processing plants or maybe even hospitals. They're also generally lower maintenance, which makes them a fantastic choice for smaller-scale indoor jobs where portability isn't your number one concern. All right, so you think you're all set, right? You've got your pressure, you've got your volume, but that's only part of the story. We need to talk about something that gets overlooked all the time, but is absolutely critical: the quality of the air itself. And listen, this is so important. If your air supply is full of moisture or oil or dirt, it will literally sabotage your entire operation from the inside out. All that humidity causes ice to build up and clog the system. I've even seen nozzles freeze completely solid. And over time, those contaminants just eat away at the internal parts, leading to costly repairs and a much shorter life for your machine. So what's the solution? A proper air treatment system. Think of it like this. The air goes on a little journey. First, it hits an air dryer to strip out all that moisture. Next, it goes through a filtration system that grabs any oil or tiny particles. And finally, regulators make sure the pressure stays perfectly stable. This whole process guarantees the air that reaches your blaster is perfectly clean, dry, and consistent. And hey, don't forget about the one thing that can choke your whole system: the hoses. You can have the biggest, most powerful compressor on the planet, but if you hook it up with a long, skinny hose, you're going to lose a massive amount of performance. You got to use a wide diameter hose. Keep it as short as you possibly can, and make sure your connectors are rated for high flow. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground: pressure, volume, different types of compressors, and even air quality. So now, let's put all that knowledge together into a simple, practical guide that'll help you make the perfect choice. Think of this table as your ultimate cheat sheet. Seriously, just find your type of blaster on the left, whether you're running a light-duty unit, something for commercial work, or a heavy industrial beast. And right there, you'll see the recommended PSI, CFM, and the best compressor to match. It's a great little at-a-glance guide. So if you walk away with anything today, let it be these three things. First, get the right PSI for the force your job needs. Second, get the right CFM for the volume your blaster needs. And third, and this is a big one, never forget about your air quality. Make sure it's clean and dry. Get those three right, and you're not just buying a piece of equipment, you're making a really smart investment. And that really leaves us with one last big question for you to think about. When you look at your own operation, is your air compressor a powerful asset that makes you more money? Or is it a liability that's actually holding you back? Because as we've just seen, making the right choice, well, it makes all the difference in the world. Thanks for joining this explainer.